Why don't people value Bitcoin?
$100 cash or 1 Bitcoin.
$100 cash.
$100 cash.
$100 cash.
$100 cash.
$100 cash.
It's still worth $31,000.
Still $100 cash.
They don't know how Bitcoin fixes inflation.
I learned that 40 out of 68 full-time firefighters here have to work at least a second job, though they say a generation ago, a firefighting income could support your family. Chris Smith has 3 jobs.
3 nights in February, I'll get to sleep in my own bed. I want more time with my children, with my family. You're never going to get that back. The houses in Guelph a year ago were $400,000, $500,000. Now they're like $600,000 to $800,000 a year later? How does that happen?
The average down payment for a home in Toronto would take nearly a quarter century for a household making $180,000 a year to save.
I owe $118,000 in student loans. It was just explained to us as everybody has student loans and this is just something you do to get ahead in life. I really didn't understand the magnitude of them until I graduated.
Patricia Rizzo took out 7 Parent Plus loans over 8 semesters to get her daughter Emily Rizzo through Skidmore College.
Would your daughter have been able to go to school without the Parent Plus loan?
No.
They don't know how Bitcoin fixes corruption.
Canola oil and all of these things, they're industrial waste. They've just been normalized as food because all over the world, doctors and nutritionists start telling you, well, this is low fat and it's better than animal fat. Governments are, first of all, telling people to eat the cheap stuff. They're heavily subsidizing the cheap stuff producers, and they're trying to force people to eat all of this industrial junk.
The average life expectancy for Americans fell in both 2020 and now in 2021. The sharpest 2-year decline in almost a century.
From the start of the financial crisis in 2007 through March of 2009, the Fed loaned or guaranteed the banks some $7.7 trillion. The banks borrowed that money from the Fed at as little as 0.01% interest.
There's something like a $3,000 basically death benefit to a hospital.
Now, you just glossed over the financial incentive to report a COVID death. It really is true that if someone has a gunshot wound and they're dying of that gunshot wound and you check them for COVID, and if they're COVID positive and they die, they mark that off as a COVID death.
That is by definition from the CDC. That was a decision that was made early on.
That seems insane.
The data have been so thoroughly manipulated that it's hard for any of us to make sense out of it.
They don't know how Bitcoin fixes censorship.
It was the largest protest in Canadian history. Everything that went to GoFundMe was frozen. GiveSendGo steps up and says, we're not going to freeze your money. The second it hit a Canadian bank, it got frozen. Canadians were getting bank accounts frozen.
We woke up the morning after the Emergencies Act came into force to discover that we no longer had access to our bank accounts. You can't pay your bills, you can't pay your rent, you can't pay your phone bill, you can't put gas in the car, you can't buy any food, and that one man, by the stroke of a pen, has taken all of that away from you. Well, it's enough to make you think about breaking up with your country. Let's put it that way.
Go to Ghana, go to Nigeria, talk to the people there, ask them about their problems with money. If you're going to send money from one country to the country next door, it's a nightmare, even for corporations. You know, places like Nigeria and Egypt are money prisons. You cannot get money out of those countries. Ethiopia is the same. Well, Nigeria, if you get a debit card, you can spend money online with it, but they limit you to $100 a month.
They don't know Bitcoin is the only way out of this nightmare.
This is garbage. This is shit. This is the kind of shit that you don't ever want to see. Nothing but paper and an illusion that somehow this is going to keep you safe in a world of infinite inflation. I can guarantee you a few things. Number one, paper money is guaranteed, mathematically guaranteed, to lose purchasing power forever. Number two, Bitcoin is mathematically guaranteed to always increase purchasing power forever. It's unconfiscatable. It's censorship resistant. It's literally a life and death situation at this point.
An entertaining, Netflix quality film can teach this to millions around the world. I have the talent and experience to make this film and to make it a masterpiece everyone can relate with. Saifedean's Bitcoin Standard is the Bitcoin book. This will be the Bitcoin film. I'm searching for 20 others to help me by funding the film. Together, we will be the 21 Feathered Serpents. Visit 21fs.tv to learn more.